the runners are going to have to learn?
There is not many specific tricks. It's only about optimizing movements and stuff like that. However, it's not. You could assume that there is a wall jump like in Super Meat Boy, and you will see runners sticking to walls sometimes. So it's the main mechanic of the game. It's sticking to corners and not actually wall jumping, which is very different. So there is kind of a vertical level design sometimes. So yeah, you have to learn to play with this, and I think it's a bit confusing at first.
So you have the option to automatically grab the ledge you are running into, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, if you press the down button, you automatically grab the corner.
Great. And they all started little intro cutscene. We are actually playing on the computer that crashes, and we go into wandering into the world, trying to find, I don't know what, something to do with our lives in that crazy world. KTH being stuck with that, you said, confusing grabbing mechanic. So no wall jumping. You have to grab onto those small ledges that you can see that are like visual points where you can grab onto, and you also can grab onto any corner. Even if there are spikes on top of it, you can grab onto it. So sometimes it can be precise. I feel like to grab precisely where you want to.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but you won't see much of that, I think, for these runners. And in the friend percent, the first 3 worlds are like tutorials, so there is nothing too mean. Like no, there is no single tile you can land on and spikes all over. It's just pretty free. Mm-hmm. However, I forgot to mention there is a pretty important mechanic. Like you can fast fall, you can accelerate the speed at which you fall. And you have to use this almost constantly to optimize your movement in this game.
So it makes you fall faster, and you try to use that so you minimize the amount of time you spent in the air, I guess?
Exactly, yeah.
So
they are making use of that already. Like Vandal already used it in the screen, so I guess they know a bit what it's about, I guess.
So yeah, in the UD6 we try to set up those first races. Sometimes the runners know a little bit about the game or knowledgeable a little bit. Sometimes they don't know at all what's going on, and sometimes they just offer a slideshow like KTH is having apparently internet issues right now, bandwidth issues. I hope it will come back soon. Vandal apparently has some experience with the game. Brainstorm just played once through a couple of levels right before we set up this race. And Dunkcest played a little bit also, but just on the first few worlds, so just the tutorial as you were mentioning.
Yeah, Vandal and Dunkcest are struggling with the end 18, which is kind of tough if you don't think you can grab the left corner. But yeah, so they're trying to pass the screen only using the crumbling blocks, and it's difficult. Dunkcest made it. Vandal is really struggling. Brainstorm is already at the second world, which is Arid Flats, and it's a bit harder, but not that much. So
if you didn't notice, on the bottom right corners, you have the world and then the number of level. Each screen is a single level, so it's pretty easy to follow that way. The worlds are pretty distinct with some vivid color changes. So you have the end, which is just black and white, and then you have that brownish tone on the Arid Flats, and that's how the world cuts down. It's 20 screens per world, about?
Yeah, around that, yeah.
Okay. So they are going to have to clear 6 worlds, is it, to get the friends together?
There are three tutorial worlds and then 6 worlds in 3 different paths, so 2 worlds per path. Yep. And yes, so that's I'm bad at math, so that's 9 worlds, 9 total, yeah.
Okay, so they are going to to have a choice at some point. There's like crossroads where you can go like in three different directions. As you've noticed, probably there's no map screen compared like to say Super Meat Boy, where you actually change levels. Here you have like a seamless flow between levels. There is like a little bit of exploration involved if you want to get the 100%. Um, but yeah, it's frozen on my end. I hope it'll come back soon. I don't
It's
know.
frozen on my end too, so
Okay, it's not only me. I hope it'll come back soon. I still have music though. It's pretty weird. Um, so as we were saying, 9 worlds, 3 intro tutorials with no like too strong of mechanics, and then a choice between 3 paths. And as we were mentioning that right before the stream started, that we are probably going to need to get like a mandatory order for the worlds, or the races are going to be hell to follow, because like all the
yeah.
worlds are pretty much the same lengths, I'd say, like about 20 levels per world. And if someone goes route A and another runner goes route B, and then they switch the order, is going to be there's going to be no way to tell uh, what's who's first.
Yeah, and the issue is that there is no optimal path for these three different ways. Like it's up to runner preference mostly. Like you start with the one that troubles you the most, and then you go on to the next one. So yeah, you will need a guideline.
Yeah, so the video is stuck. We are, thanks to all the speed gaming mods, thanks to Cyclone, who does a fantastic job, we are getting all of it back together. I got the player's feed right now. The players are still in Arts Flat, and Brainstorm just started the overflow that introduced the water mechanics. In obviously in platformers, water is always the thing that the players like the most, and there's quite a few levels. There are quite a few levels with water in the end is Nigh. I do hope the runners will get used to the precision swimming, as we can see on Brainstorm screen. Um, Lots of dodging in underwater, and so far the water does not kill you, but that will come soon.
Yeah, I think it's like the eighth screen of overflow. You get toxic water, and then you never get clear water again ever. So yeah, it comes pretty fast.
So a lot of the enemies you can jump on. Well, not all of them, but lots of those cool skull frogs enemies you can use as platforms, and you have a lot of projectiles you can jump on also that are going to be used for platforming. But it can be tricky. Moving objects is always tricky, and sometimes you have to in the end this night to manipulate the behavior of the enemies, so you get them exactly where you want them to be.
Yeah, there are enemies like that that are very annoying in the third path, which are birds, and as you know, birds are the worst in every video game ever. So yeah, it's it's very difficult to manipulate.
Okay, so enemies, moving platforms. We saw a lot of crumbling platform also. Like
Yeah.
that's almost like the main mechanic of all the Disney levels, is that you have like buildings or sets of platforms. If you touch them, they're going to collapse under you, and the collapsing will reveal the path. It's all dynamic, and but if a lot of screens have faster strats. You can save time by jumping exactly where you need to. If you're fast enough with the crumbling, you are going to save a few frames, a cycle or so, and that's where all uh, the best runners are going to differentiate themselves. But I feel like it's the first step is going to be remember what's going next
Yeah.
on the next screen, and don't die. That's almost the only advice we can give to the runners.
Yeah, if you get a run where you don't die too much and you know what screen follows you when you're in, you pretty much guaranteed to have at least sub 30 minutes, even if you don't do crazy strats, because there is no single very difficult screen. Like everything is pretty not easy, but at least manageable if you get the hang of it. So yeah, there's nothing too difficult. Just remembering all 150 screens is already it's already a lot of work.
Yeah, so 150 levels. That's probably the biggest number of levels we have on during the UD6. But we have a lot of platformers, and I feel like even though it's a precision platformer compared to a lot of the other ones we have, the Andes Nigh is maybe the easiest compared to say Donkey Kong or Shovel Knight. It's going to
Yeah.
be way more a way more fluid experience for the runners. Like you just have to play a lot and you'll get it down compared to like practicing very specific strats on Donkey Kong, say.
Yeah, it's very fast paced, and also it's the shortest one of the platformers, so it's going to be mostly easier, but players are already having trouble like thinking the game is way too difficult, just like Super Meat Boy actually, where you're looking at the game and you're thinking everything is super difficult, and once you learned the run, it's actually not that bad. But yeah, I hope people will come around and find out that it's not that difficult. I hope for them.
Yeah, it's going to be important in the UD. Do remember that they have to practice 10 different games for like if they want to get to the competitive aspect of the UD. Of obviously, a lot of the runners also just running for fun or for the community of in order to discover new speedruns. But yeah, it's going to be one of those games where the community either struggles thinking it's too difficult or everybody gets together and master the game. But I feel like the community sense of speedrunning this game is going to be very important. And if a lot of runners go, oh, it's too hard, I'm not doing it, it's going to matter a lot for some runners. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, you basically need top runners to be positive about the game in order to motivate people, I think. In any case, Brainstorm and Ancest both took the top route, which is pretty convenient, so we can actually commentate what they're doing and compare their race.
And they're exactly on the same screen actually. Like
yeah, they're very close.
Almost frame perfect tied. Do remember that those runners knew they had to run this game yesterday, and they probably bought the game about like yesterday evening or today. Brainstorm died here, so Access took the lead. Vandal and KTH are before the crossroads on the overflow level world. Yeah, nice lead by Youngcest, about 10 levels.
Yeah. In my opinion, the top route is the most difficult one for beginners. So I don't know if they knew about it or if they just randomly choose this one and it happens to be the best one to take first. But yeah, it's not really the best one. Like you don't gain any time from taking this path, but you kind of want to get over with the hardest section first and then go on with the easy stuff.
As you mentioned, birds, flying enemies, as we see on the Brainstorm and Access screens, are kind of annoying. At least you don't need to jump on this one to clear the level. But yeah, that's one of those places where if you slightly mess up, if you jump too early or too late, if you change just a little bit your movement, the behavior is going to change and you are going to have a bad time. So that's one of those levels where you cannot make any mistake.
Yeah, the birds aren't really random. However, they move according to where you are, and depending on like you can be pixel perfect every time. So sometimes it just do stuff you've never seen before and trajectories you can't anticipate, and you're screwed. And Brainstorm got past the screen, which Ancest is still at. It's, in my opinion, the worst one in this world, and it's good for Brainstorm to be past this one because it's a relief, really.
Yeah, and as we could see a couple of times. Oh no, died right at the end. Right at the end, you have those that ceiling with spikes, and if the birds come be underneath you, they just bump you into the spikes and you die. So this one is like very mean to the players. At
Yeah.
least you have some. Sometimes the birds don't move until you've actually moved yourself, so you have some time to breathe if you need to like untilt yourself, I'd say.
Yeah. You can also use them to you can ride on their head and actually use them to get shortcuts, which is actually used in the world record. And like it's very difficult to manipulate, but if you can do it, you save like 10 seconds, maybe something like that, which is huge on a 20-minute run.
On Brainstorm screen, we can see maybe for the first time those toxic fumes. You cannot stay into them for too long. You have to find a safe spot, and as soon as you touch a safe spot, your counter resets. So you are blinking. I think it's you blink 3 times, and yet then you explode.
Yeah, it's
And
around 2.5 seconds, I think, or so. We've seen some of them in Overflow, so it's not the first time you see them, but yeah, there was a lot of them in World of Sorrow. Actually, Brainstorm is on the last screen of this stage, and he's going to be seeing Exodus next, which is a huge flying ship, I think. And I think it's the most fun world in this category. So it's also one of the most difficult.
Okay, so taking that elevator and getting onto SS Exodus. So this is certainly reminiscent of the flying machine of Super Mario World 3 with all
Yeah,
those
definitely.
cannons and those cannon balls. You can jump onto them, but if you touch them from the side, you're going to die. And you have to use them here, as you can see, to clear the jumps. Access get to the same world right after Brainstorm sadly fell back to Wall of Sorrow.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Actually, there's something you can do in the first screen of Exodus. You can pause and go to the map and teleport to the world you just got in. Because if you get into a screen with a teleporter in it, there's one at the start of each world. It's activated as soon as you enter the screen, and so you can skip the rest of the elevator if you go to the map and teleport. They did not know about that, so they didn't do it. But
yeah, obviously, once
Ooh.
again, new players new to the game. You can see an Unxist screaming.
Access no stuff. He's trying for a pretty tough escape here. He's trying to bounce some of the 3 cannonballs to get to the top left corner, skipping one screen. It's a bit difficult to get if you never practiced it, but he knows about it, so he's going to try it, I guess.
You see, you can grab. There's like that one little spike on the top left platform, and so I don't know how much he knows about the game. Either he just watched the world record, or if he practiced himself a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe he saw at least 8 runs do this, and maybe he thinks you have to do this. I hope not.
Yeah, that's actually probably the case. Like, if he just practiced a little bit the game and went like, okay, this is the route, he's going to have some troubles here.
And so
But he's
Brainstorm
close
is
all the
in.
time.
Yeah, he almost gets it every time. And Brainstorm he didn't lose any time on this skip, so now he's like 5 screens ahead. So he gets a pretty significant lead. And
Ooh.
KDH and Vandal also took the top route, so I don't know. I guess they saw a run before playing.
Yeah, actually, maybe because Vandal said in Discord that he didn't know that you can choose your way. So maybe we are going to make that order mandatory, so it's easy for everyone to learn in that order, and no one has issues whatsoever practicing or learning.
Yeah.
because I know it's very troublesome when you start learning a certain order and then we go like, hey, you should change that. Once you get your muscle memory into a run, it can be
Yeah.
a worry.
Also, I'm in the tutorial I'm making currently. I use also this pass to showcase the game. So I think making this pass the not mandatory but recommended path for races might be cool because everyone is going to learn from this tutorial and then do the same thing. So I guess everyone is taking the same route.
Okay. On KTH screen, we saw him took a mega tumor. You don't need that at all in that category because those are used to the tumor are like first they're for completionists. If you want the 100% of the game, you need all of them, and also they're pretty much extra lives for the second half of the game
Yeah.
that we are not doing because we are just the game stops at the first cutscene as soon as you get your friend all together, but we do not need them. So if you see some runners get out of their way to get a tumor. Either it's a mistake or just pure muscle memory because they've practiced
Yeah.
something else, but
I
they don't
still,
need them at all.
I still have some muscle memory from any percent, so I tried to de-rust yesterday and I was grabbing some tumors left and right. So
Some
yeah,
don't lose time at all. They're just like on the way, or you have to wait for an extra cycle anyway, so you can do whatever you want, waiting for the platforms to fall on you. But yeah, it's not at all needed. Oh, and KTH actually changed his way. He was on the Wall of Sorrow, and I don't know what happened, but he maybe didn't find the route and went to the Hollows.
maybe he got lost. I don't know. I saw him on the screen with the clouds when you see the clouds for the first time. Maybe he thought it was background instead of platforms. I don't know. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, once again, blind race just to be able to see how the game plays, how the game handles before the runners actually get onto learning the speedrun themselves. We are going to have a race on Thursday where after 5 days the runners do get very very good actually on those games, and I do expect the runners to do very well on Thursday. Maybe not sub 20, but definitely some very good time already.
I think I saw 24 minutes already from someone who's never played before. So yeah, they're fast learners, those players.
I'm not surprised to be honest. I feel like
Yeah,
D&D Nigh is not as easy as Cuphead, but it's one of those kind of games where it's kind of easy to get a decent time going. Like say maybe 30 minutes or in 25 minutes for some on the Andy's night, and the grind will start like after that where you have to start learning fast strats and you have not to die, and both of them are actually like the opposite. Either you want to go slow to not die or you want to go fast but you're going to die, and it will be tricky. Maybe coming from like 22 minutes up until 19, that's probably the best time some runners are going to aim for.
yeah, probably. I think we'll see plenty of sub 20s before the end of the season. It's one of those games that you can learn basically just by watching. There's no hidden mechanic or momentum stuff you need to take account for. Like you can just copy a strat and everything you see is what you get. So it's fairly quick to learn.
This is one of the first platformers, like 2D side scrollers, where we don't have boss fights. Also, if I recall correctly, a lot of the side scrollers from the UD6 are like boss fights heavy. Boss fights are very very important in UD6 and Shovel Knight, Eye of Sorrow. DKC not so much for the boss fights, but they're still there. Um,
Cuphead is basically just bosses, so
Cuphead is just bosses, and Metal Slug is all about saving resources so you can kill the boss. This is completely the opposite. Every single screen is completely independent from everything else, so you just have to perform well on like per screen basis. It's going to be like very nice for some runners that did struggle with like actually not being able to die so much. You can have a good run on the end is Nigh and still die like I don't know 100 times if you want. It's dying is not absolutely not an issue. It's just when you are going to grind like say the 200 points, the sub 20, sub 19, there it's going to matter a lot.
yeah, I believe even the world record isn't deathless, so clearly it's not that important.
So free world record, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. But just kidding, the world record is absolutely crazy, so we are not touching this anytime.
So to come back to the race, I'm mostly watching KTH because he is on the Olos that have a lot of puzzly elements. Like you have to understand how to unlock the level, and as you can see, you get a lot of traps if you're too slow. Ancest is at the end of the SS Exodus here. Is done well, but Brainstorm actually took the lead by quite a margin now on retrograde already on the 12th screen here. And last but not least, Vandal is at the start of the SS Exodus. So all the runners are doing actually very, very well. It's been only 25 minutes and everybody is showing good progress.
Yeah, they're doing very great for like their first time playing. I don't think I was that at this point after half an hour of playing the first time. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Especially Brainstorm, like he's almost halfway done, more than halfway done actually, and he's at 25 minutes only. So that's really impressive.
Yeah, he started playing the game just a little bit practice to check that if everybody was working at like about an hour and 20 minutes ago. So he got like a say 40 minutes lead just getting into the understanding the physics of the game, but that's pretty much it. So he is completely blind on those levels. He never seen them, and yeah, it's actually like he has no issue whatsoever getting past every obstacle he sees. He was like, I don't know how much he played of Super Meat Boy, but if I do remember correctly, he liked the game a lot. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he played a lot of Super Meat Boy before. Well, actually, we all played quite a bit of platformers because of Ultimate Decathlon, but
yeah, but they're all different. I feel like you can be very, very talented at Shovel Knight and struggle a lot with the Endless Night because all the platformers are paced differently, and this one is very specific, way like faster paced than Shovel Knight or Donkey Kong, where you have to take it slow and um, grasp everything that you cannot see on screen. Here you have 100% of the information on screen, and it's all about like going fast. Very nicely done from Uncest on that final screen of Exodus.
oh, nice,
Of
nice backup.
his friend.
Actually, the game reminds me a lot of the fun games. Games actually, it's very reminiscent of fun game level design. Like you have one screen and every information is shown, and you have to solve it basically by being precise. So it's quite different from Shovel Knight, as you say, or other platformers. So
Yeah.
there is a new mechanic on Brainstorm screen right now. So those are anti-gravity fields, which are kind of gimmicky to use. You're basically like in water when in them, but not exactly. It's a bit different, and it's a bit difficult to use the first time around.
That's very Edmund Macmillan-y, I'd say. Like in
Yeah.
Super Meat Boy, we had those either the fans that were blowing you away, giving you speed, that were pretty hard to master, and those anti-grav orbs that were
Oh yeah,
pushing you away.
those
Uh,
orbs.
it's a bit reminiscent of all that. I I'm pretty sure as a game designer, he loved those weird elements. We don't see them too much in the End is Nigh, but they're enough to be bothering. I hope it's not too difficult to master because I do remember on my first Meat Boy playthrough having a lot of troubles understanding how everything was working after like the first four worlds.
It's not as difficult as the orbs, I'd say. And since it's still the light world, well, the first half of the game, you don't see a lot of the mechanics applied to harder levels. You only see pretty much the tutorial levels and a bunch of difficult levels, but nothing too difficult.
Brainstorm is on one of those longer screen where you have like to backtrack back and forth, and dying right at the end as it did costs a lot of time. The
Yeah.
machine is probably the hardest world, I feel like.
Yeah, grinding a good time. Most runs die at the machine, I feel. For beginners, I think it's Wall of Sorrow, and for advanced player, it's the machine, clearly, because there is a lot of difficult strats for the machine. But playing casually, I don't know if you play safe. I think it's okay.
I also feel like the machine maybe is. I feel like it's harder because it's longer. All the screens have a lot of get a key, then come back, and if you die right at the wrong moment, you are going to have to do the screens all over again.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of small backtracking sections. Also, it's one of those worlds where apparently there's like 22 screens, but you go through. It's chaotic in its order, so it's difficult to know where exactly you are in relation to the end of the stage. Sometimes you're at machine 11. Like, Brainstorm just transitioned from the machine 6 to 10, so it's a bit chaotic.
So Ancest is actually making good progress towards the machine, already at retrograde 9. KTH still struggling in the hollows. He's almost done, but probably, yeah, all those levels are actually quite hard on the hollows. Also, like he, those screens have a lot of moving parts. The water kills you, and you have to be precise with your falling fast button, so you break the walls you have to pass through. And yeah, it's not too easy on KTH. Vendel struggling a little bit on Exodus. That one screen got stuck. Brainstorm and Ancest also, so I won't blame him whatsoever. And
Yeah, it's a
Brainstorm,
difficult screen.
yeah, and Brainstorm almost done already with the machine.
Yeah, he's halfway through, I'd say. But yeah, he's making very good progress. And KTH getting to Golgotha, which is very difficult for the eyes, at least, if not by level design. It hurts my eyes every time I play it.
So yeah, this is the only world with warm, vivid color. Like there's no other red or yellow or orange level,
No,
and
it's
that's
only
good.
one. Yeah, that's very good. Well, if there was none at all, I wouldn't mind though, but I feel like Golgotha is the easiest path because most of the screen in Hollows and Golgotha are not so difficult because once you know what's important in those screens, you don't get confused as much because there's usually a lot of information to process, like a lot of moving enemies, some moving platforms, and stuff coming from a lot of directions. Once you know what to expect, it gets way easier compared to Machine or World of Sorrow.
Brainstorm having once again in the machine one of those screens where you have to slowly and painfully make progress just to get a key and to come back later to the previous screen. So one of those moments
I
where
forgot about that screen actually. You don't see it at all in the any percent or friend percent. I think I'm not sure, but I think it's because you have two different paths, and if you take yeah, he took the top path, and it's the wrong one, so to speak. You need to take the bottom one, which leads you directly to the end, and the top one does nothing. So yeah, he couldn't
So
know, but
he pretty much got lost in the machine.
yeah, that happened.
It's once again, it's not too bad. The runners are going to learn, and on Saturday, next Saturday, we are going to have a tournament where the runners go for twice and like two the Andes Night runs in a row. And yeah, I do expect like I don't know sub 22 happening for a lot of runners.
Which would piss me off a bit because it's already my PB. I only have 21.19, so I'm not ready to get beaten after 5 days. Or
Your PB is 2019.
21.19.
Okay, yeah, that
It's not that great. I didn't play this category a lot, but whatever. I expect people to beat me because they're very good.
well, you just have to practice a little bit and you'll be fine. You have the advantage of like already knowing the game a little bit. And maybe you are in one of those spots where you are going to actually beat your PB very, very fast just because of the extra motivation the
Yeah,
UD can give.
yeah, maybe. I hope so at least. That's been the case for most experts who came into UD. So yeah, I hope I won't be an exception.
The Andes community is actually quite active with Discord and lots of runners that are streaming and grinding the game. So if you like what you see, don't hesitate to come and say hello either in the UD Discord or their Discord that you can find pretty easily with like the speedrun.com page. With SGDQ starting soon, maybe speedrun.com is not going to do so great in the next in the next week, but do not worry, that should come back to normal pretty fast.
Brainstorm is having a bit of trouble here because he thinks he needs to activate the button, the center of the stage, but it's only here to trigger a secret. So like he could have beaten the screen at least 5 times, and he can't get around to do it. So it's a bit funny to watch, but I feel bad at the same time.
I really like the adventure aspect, exploration aspect of the end design. I think that is pretty nice. The like the way the levels interconnect to each other makes for a funnier experience compared to just like straight up different levels that have nothing to do with each other. A lot of secrets and lots of stuff is hidden in just in plain sight, pretty much. Just like, oh, you can exit through here also, and you get like a mega tremor or just a reward in general. And I'm not surprised that some runners actually confuse the correct exit and the secret exit on some
Yeah, no,
levels.
it's totally understandable. Kind of reminds me of Celeste, actually. Like Celeste, the first time I played it, I got lost in the first stage because I'm bad.
And some runners are already done apparently. I will check the results for this run, but yeah, Double Tifa got a 25 minutes and Sugi Tooth got a 36 minutes, and all the other runners are probably like have more less information about the game coming into that race. So Anxus, KTH, Vendel, Mimididi, Brainstorm, and Hypnospeaker are still running. You can see on streams KTH and Anxus, Vendel, Brainstorm making good progress. Brainstorm starting the holo. It could like catch KTH back up. Like
Yeah.
KTH is actually struggling a little bit on Golgotha. Almost done though with that first pass for him.
Yeah, he's struggling with those enemies. I don't know what they're called actually, but they're very annoying. They follow you around and they're always pretty much in your path when you don't want it to, but yeah, it's pretty annoying. Brainstorm is actually on very good pace to finish the game under an hour, so it's pretty much guaranteed at this point, I think.
Very nice because Yeah, we are probably not going to see all the four runners beat the game in time, but we do try to get those blind race not going forever. So for the MD's night, the time slot is just an hour. So we are going to see Brainstorm beat the game in time. We probably are going to see Anxest get close-ish is on the machine, making good progress also, and maybe will be just shy of 10 minutes. And Vendel
Or less
PH4,
than that.
less than that, you'd say?
Yeah, I think he'll be missing like 4 minutes maybe. I don't know. I'm bad at estimating stuff, so don't don't quote me on this. But I think he beat the game in like an hour and 3 minutes, maybe something like that.
Nice. So yeah, place your bets. If we cut the stream before Anxious finishes, don't hesitate to go to his Twitch channel. Obviously, follow the runners if you like what you see, because those four runners are going to practice a lot more of the Andy's Nigh, obviously, and we'll see the game quite a lot because it is just barely starting. Almost, we had 10 weeks revealing the 10 games of the season, and then right now we are getting to the actual like competitive phase. All the runners are going to have to keep practicing all the games, coming back to certain games they maybe did not play on the past few weeks. Like I don't know how many players did Jira's Shovel Knight.
Sure, it's going to hurt a lot. I think.
It's going. We'll see on the 14th of July. We're going to have our first tourney, competitive tournament, 5 games in a row, and we'll see how much the runners are practiced on everything. And yeah, Ancest did not make the same mistake as Brainstorm. Chose the correct pass.
Yeah,
So
good for
maybe,
him.
yeah, that's he doesn't have to lose too much time there.
Oh, he's in a difficult situation here. The machine gun, and oh, that was very well played.
Very nice. Lots of improvisation still. Speedrun is the art of never improvising, just knowing exactly what you need to do. And let's see if he remembers where he has to go. Brainstorm struggled there on the machine 22.
Yeah, I hope he won't go for the secret too. And oh no, he's keeping the button, but he missed the platform by not much. And Brainstorm is already almost done with the hello, so he's on his last word almost.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, he's
So the
done.
holos was his 8th world. We start the 9th. At the end of Golgotha, he'll get. Let's see. He got the corpse. He got the head. We're missing the heart of the friend.
I think the heart is in Exodus actually, and you get the body in
Oh
Golgotha.
yeah, you get the
I-
body hang up.
But
At the end
but
of
again,
Golgotha, you're
do
right.
not quote me on that. I don't exactly remember. I don't pay
I s-
attention to what sprite I'm getting when I
yeah,
get
it's
to.
actually very important. You need a friend, and you are getting parts all together. Like this is the most. You are like playing Doctor Frankenstein, and you're getting back up your monster. I don't know exactly what happened in the ND's9 world, but clearly something terrible is pulling you, like a mysterious strength is pushing you towards that weird goal. But yeah, Brainstorm and Anxist both on world 8 and 9, making very good progress. KTH did beat Golgotha already and started with and he's doing
Is
overflow again.
overflow? Maybe he doesn't know you can teleport back to the split. I don't know. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good for learning. Playing the game once
Yeah.
again is going to be the best way to practice and learn. The end is nice, so this is just like the first race, just to practice, to play, to enjoy. The end is nice. Oh, he's getting a secret here. Very nice. Found it at random. Is going to decide to go with it.
He wants to go for it. That's that's the swag.
Yeah, very nice. trying not
Uh,
to die. As we can see, like it's a very precise game. Sometimes you are going to have to do some pretty neat jumps to get past the obstacles. And Inxist, once again, good progress through the hollows, all the way almost halfway through already. Um, we are on that screen that had KTH struggling. Um,
it's one of the toughest one because the skull in the middle has a weird timing, and you can access it from the first ledge. So you need to wait a bit, and then the walls go down, and the timing is really weird to understand the first time. So it's a difficult screen for this one.
you got there jumping, dodging all the weird enemies that are going diagonally.
Sick dodge. Wow.
And in the hollows, like all the water is toxic. I
Yeah, there's no clean water in the hollows. Like I said, after overflow, there is no clean water at all. You don't see it ever again, except
oh,
maybe in Blight, which is the Dark World version of overflow. There is a bit of some secret with clean water, but like maybe 2 screens.
that's good for speedrunners. They have to go fast anyway. So yeah, very nice. You can go fast underwater, like vertically, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you can fast fall in water, and you get almost the same speed as in the air. Also, you can conserve momentum from jumping from a ledge, because if you jump from a ledge, you go faster than just walking. And if you do that and go in water directly, you keep that momentum for a long time. So yeah, there's a bit of optimization here. If you know how to do it, it's gets you across some levels really fast. And Anxest almost done with hollows. He's just on that last screen. He almost gets it.
Brainstorm is actually almost done also with Golgotha. He is going to have make a very good time for a first run. 15 minutes, almost completely blind. It's going to be very interesting to see what time he exactly gets. Vendel is almost done with Exodus, so he will be done with his fifth world. He will still have to go for the machine and for Golgotha to get the two other parts for his friend.
Yeah. Anxest actually caught up a bit to, according he reduced the. I'm losing my words here. I'm kind of tired. Sorry.
English is tough for us Frenchies. So yeah, actually, yeah, you were saying that he caught back up with Brainstorm.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Only 10 levels between them, where he had like all over a complete world
Yeah.
of a distance between those two runners. So he had a very good hollows, I think, and that made and a better machine than Brainstorm. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, maybe he's going to get the sub hour mark actually.
Yeah, maybe he's going to be sub hour, and by a good margin actually, because he has 15 screens left and 13 minutes. I think it's he's going to make it probably.
Brainstorm having huge troubles on that 19 screen. Those two enemies, the spikes, the timing can be a bit awkward. The enemies, as soon as they see you, they go straight towards you, so you have to use the. Oh, okay, he passes right under it, but you can use like the two ledges and grab onto, so you can manipulate them.
Yeah, actually the issue is that the enemy is just out of reach for him, so he won't go for him, so he cannot escape. So he needs to be a bit higher when he waits for the enemy to cycle. But
And all those cubes to manipulate, they're just trying to crush you. Gotta know exactly how to dodge them.
it's not a difficult mechanic. I feel like it's kind of easy once you know what they do, and you get the hang of it pretty fast. Well, that was a
They're
sixth strat here from Brainstorm.
they're pretty fast now, so you have like not that much of a margin. You have to get onto them very quickly, and yeah, Brainstorm almost done.
I think it's going to be one of those games where it's not over till it's over. Like, even the 5 last screens can trip you up and potentially lose a race or win a race if you're behind. So I
Yeah,
think we have a
that's
lot of
possible.
surprises.
Like we can see, like compared to some other games where clearly, if you're better, you are going to gain a lot of time, and you're going to like it's going to show a long time ago. Like say Metal Slug, getting onto mission 6. If one dies and the other doesn't, well, it's done for you. Like we can measure the time loss pretty easily. And yeah, Brainstorm gets back to his cute little house and gets his friend all together with the best video game smile ever. And yeah, very good run actually for the first time
Yeah, under
playing
50
the game.
minutes, that's quite good.
Very nice. 49, 42. So the timer is a bit weird on the end is nice. So what we're doing is we're using the load removal from live split, and that gives the most accurate time. So the timing method will be using live splits and the load removal. So it's
Yeah,
the in-game time doesn't work quite well, and the real time the game has a lot of hidden loads between levels, so you might be losing a lot of time because like even if it's half a second, 150 levels goes for 75-second time loss, so
yeah,
it adds up.
you don't want that happening. That's I don't know if they were using loadless or not here, but regardless, it's they are good pace. They are on good pace.
Insist on that screen that got Brainstorm stuck.
Yeah, he needs to hang higher from the top ledge instead of the bottom one if he wants the enemy to move.
Yeah, but the spikes.
Yeah, and the spikes, everything is cycled perfectly so that you get killed if you just take one misstep.
Very nice, but yeah, the final step, the final jump here, the enemy is right close to it, and if you do jump when he's idle, he's going to kill you. So you have to trigger the enemies before you do anything, and that's
Actually,
one of those.
it's one of those times where if you go as fast as possible, it's way safer than just taking your time. If you go for the exit right as he moves, you can just run past him and he won't do anything. It's yeah. See, they all wait on the right ledge, and it's way more difficult than just going straight for it. He solved that cube puzzle very quickly. I feel like the first time around I spent a lot of time on it because I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, this is like once again those cubes. They go very fast, and you have to like either know what you're doing or get a good like understanding of how the level works. But yeah, once again, very well done from Angsest. Clearly, he knows a little bit about what he's doing, but the execution is also already here. So he's going to have like good time. He's not going to spend like 7 minutes in the next 2 levels, so he should be fine.
You never know.
You never know.
It's not
Yeah, that's one
happening.
of those games where you actually never know. That's true.
I was just kidding around. I don't think he will, but yeah.
Now, to be honest, I know that's one of those games where, as a commentator, I will curse someone
Yeah,
making
definitely.
lose like a race. The game goes for 1 point every 6 minutes in the UD multi-game tournaments. So, yeah, it's one of those games where you pretty much lose a point per death, like sometimes, and dying goes very very quickly. So
Yeah, it can happen pretty fast. especially if you have a commentator jinxing you every second.
Yeah, I'll try not to do that.
Thank you.
Um, I don't know. I don't know how. Well, the problem is UD has like 3 sets of restreams, French, English, and Russian. So if you do take into account like every curse, all the 5 or 6 commentators can throw at you,
Oh
it's
man.
going to be tough. I don't know how they make the physics of the commentary curse, but yeah. So the game is going to be one of those. Oh wow, nice jump by Youngcest, and sadly dies right after that.
Oh, that sucks. That was such a
Yeah,
great jump.
he just has to make it barely. Vandal in the hollows halfway through. And KTH, after having like some difficult times with actually the game itself and the way it's built, making good progress in the machine. So all the runners are actually getting some good times there, getting some good hang of how the game is working.
Yeah, we can actually see KTH improving in real time. Like you can clearly see he's more comfortable with platforming and stuff. So that's how fast you learn the game.
So what's your advice as a final like conclusion as Ancest is finishing the game here? What's your advice? What do you emphasize on in your tutorial? Is it about like the trajectories or like the safe strats compared to the fast strats, or is it just about like, well, that's how you beat the level, now just do it 10,000 times and you'll get it all the time?
Yeah, it's pretty much play the game, not necessarily with difficult strats, just play the game a lot, go through worlds a lot, just to know what's coming up at every screen. And yeah, just play. You can progress a lot just by playing, not necessarily grinding difficult strats and such. So yeah, just play the game casually, and you eventually it will come around.
Toru, which is one of the best UD6 runners, actually told me that he had like a 25 minutes earlier, and he said like, "Hey, I never speedrun the game, but I just beat it 100%, and now I'm pretty confident at the game." So yeah, playing through the game is going to be clearly the best way to learn. You are going to need to watch some strats just because you cannot think by yourself about all the tiny jumps, all the minor optimization that are possible, but certainly being able to uh, to just clear the levels quickly is going to save you a lot of hassle.
Yeah. And also, most of the time, it's better to just wait a bit for a safer path instead of just dying. If you know what you're doing, at least if you know there is a safe strat and you're not feeling confident in your ability to pull off a difficult strat, just go for the safe one. It's better to lose like 2 seconds by dying instead of by not dying actually, instead of dying and losing like 10 seconds or something.
Mm. It's yeah, but it's tough. Like it's always easy to say like, yeah, go easily on yourself. You don't have to
Yeah,
go
I
as
know.
fast as you can. And sometimes you're like, yeah, but I know that strat. I just want to get it right. So yeah, sadly we are going to see a lot of tilt from some runners when it doesn't work quite exactly as intended.
Yeah,
It's going
the,
to be
the,
okay though.
the temptation to go fast. It's difficult to resist sometimes. You can go too fast.
We are going to warp this stream up. It's been very interesting to watch Ancest and Brainstorm and Vandal and KTH get onto the game for the first time. We have the final world. Brainstorm actually did play through the category yesterday, so he had that bit of lead, but that tells you how fast you improve, because we could tell precisely how well he was playing compared to KTH that is completely blind. So tomorrow KTH will play exactly like Brainstorm, and that's good to know. If you did like what you see, do not hesitate. You can join. Obviously, the Nigh community, they're very friendly. They will help you learn the game. You can also join the UD6. It's still open to anyone. You can hop in and get learning a lot of speedruns with us. We are going to come back on Thursday for a more serious race because the runners will have time to 5 days to learn the game and to actually start grinding more. Well, seriously, I would say hard to tell. Some runners are going to take it very nicely, and some players are going to go through the learning, like just doing straight ILs and not doing any runs until they can beat the world record. So anyone is doing whatever they want. I do hope Brotherman with me today will get beat his previous PB very fast.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult for top players of the tournament, I think.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of runners sub 20 not too soon, but sub 22 very quickly, and then it's going to be grinding the deaths, the as few deaths as possible. Deathless is probably never going to happen, at least on stream, uh, on tourneys. I mean, on their stream. I hope it does happen. All the runners you've seen today and all the UD runners are streaming their learning and their experience with the with speedrunning, so do not hesitate to follow them. And on speed gaming, we have obviously the LTTP randomizer still going on Speed Gaming 1. We have the Hat in Time tourney on Speed Gaming 3. And later on today, you have LTTP randomizer on Speed Gaming 1 from 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. You have more LTTP randomizer starting at 2:30 p.m. on Speed Gaming 4. On Speed Gaming 2 at 3 p.m. You'll have the very hyped Super Metroid Plus ALTTP randomizer, and on Speed Gaming 5 at 3 p.m. You have Near Automata. At 6 p.m. you have Luigi's Mansion. Not I don't know which channel yet. And the day will end with some Final Fantasy 1 randomizer and some Zelda 1 randomizer weekly race. So a lot of different games coming your way on Speed Gaming. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll see you next time.